am Tasha Edwards, and the name of my business is Hip Healthy Chick. Um, Sort of, the funny thing is that I feel like Hip Healthy Chick is like she's near retirement because the entire brand of that I feel like grew out of the influencer space. You
Okay.
know, you have to have a cute name because your
Yes.
names are catchy, but people always thought, good morning, John.
Yes, John. Yes.
People always thought that hip meant like cool, but it
Yes.
doesn't.
Okay.
Hip hip actually means holistic, intuitive, on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love you too. I love John Gary. But and so it was more of a I feel like I'm not new to this. Like everything that's happening right now, I'm not new to it. Like I've been
Yes.
rolling like that. But just to have the opportunity to have had a business before I had Facebook, before I
Yes.
had Instagram, like the OGs, that
Yep.
it's easier to
There you
find
go.
perspective because you know what it's like to actually be with the people and you're not doing it for screen time.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are dating, you'd rather meet them for coffee than do an online dating app, is what you're saying.
Coffee. I probably need more coffee today, but coffee for sure.
Yes.
I um as an uh, people don't believe that in my real life I'm actually an introvert. I've learned to do extroverted things because of what I do.
Hmm.
But I do find that um I am more of a connection person, and I don't know if that I know it comes from feeling excluded for so many parts of my life in so many different realms, for always feeling like I was never a part or even
Yes.
welcome.
Hmm.
That is how I have created my entire business and platform or whatever. Good morning,
Yes.
Snowflake. Yeah.
Eric request.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a story behind that, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that acronym again? Holistic,
Holistic, intuitive.
intuitive.
Yeah, and on purpose. I believe it's part of the thing about
Purpose.
teaching is that you know your body better than I do. So why would
Yes.
you listen to me and disregard what your body and your mind are telling you? You know?
Yes.
So I really try to encourage and teach that.
The best trainers that I've listened to, worked with, been mentored by, always tell us that you don't just give someone a good workout. I'm talking in the personal training space. You don't just give someone a good workout. You educate them so that they know what a good workout looks like.
Hmm.
Because I can give you 500 burpees and you'll be sweaty at the end and be like, wow, that was a good workout. Or I can give you like real in-depth cues to work on your deadlift, your squat, whatever movement pattern, push, pull, and you could walk away and be like, wow, that was a good workout.
Yeah, you know what? You just said my line. I use that all the time. And I said,
Yes.
I can make you do 100 burpees. I mean, and you're going to be tired, but why would you pay me for that? I was like, that's not training. That's kind of like dictating. That's like taking your money for something you could have done on your own.
Right.
My goal was to always teach myself out of a job so that my
Yes.
clients felt like they were equipped enough to go. Like I teach a university level PE class.
Hmm.
And so I told them my goal this semester is, number one, not to stress you out.
Yes.
And two, teach you how to work out even if you were in your dorm room. So now you can't say you didn't know.
Right.
Um, but because of that, I retain my clients because basically this is an engineering town. These are PhD level, high management people who don't have the time to sit up and think
Hmm.
about a workout. So they're like, I'll pay you. And it works.
And it works. Yes.
It works.
And that's the
Yeah, it works.
paradox. I mean, like, and everyone's starting out, like, that is the paradox. It's like, if you equip them with enough stuff to do it on their own, they're going to come back to you anyway because they're going to want more.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yes. Yeah. So
Agreed.
I just want to say quick hello to some people here on the thread here. First of all, my wife, she's kicking around here. Alex, there she
Good morning,
is.
wife.
Slash content manager slash cheerleader slash.
I love
Um,
it.
and Erica, Sophie. So if you have any questions for Tasha as we go, please put them in the comment section. Yeah. So are you still teaching that course, the university course too, or?
I am. I
Okay.
am. Yeah, it's super weird because my class meets twice a week, but I have one number of students on Tuesday, one number of students on Thursday,
Hmm.
and to give them virtual work it's kind of difficult because I mean I give it to them, but they're college students, and I'm thinking about me. Like if somebody was telling me to work out when I could probably sleep late, I probably wouldn't do it. But
Yes.
so part of our assignment this week was a TED talk
Okay.
about motivation, and then like I can give you all the stuff, but I can't motivate you. I can inspire you,
Hmm.
but your motivation has to be something that drives you. I can't give you that.
Right.
And so to also get in their minds, because I know college was a hot mess because
Hmm.
I was used to dancing 5 hours a day, and I mean I'm from Chicago, so all we do is eat. And um, to go there and then have to shift um, habits, which I
Yes.
didn't. I just added more. I didn't drink, but I sure enough ate my share of Papa John's pizza and Krispy Kreme donuts. So,
Hey.
yeah. So at 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning in Waffle House, I've done it all, you know?
Yes.
And so to educate them about creating, and that's for everybody, creating something that's sustainable that,
Right.
you can take with you because fad diets, I mean, after, we're going to start on Monday, somewhere around Wednesday afternoon, you ain't
Hmm.
feeling it. You ain't feeling
Right.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Inspiration is gone.
Yes. Real gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is,
Yeah.
by your definition, the difference between inspiration and motivation?
I think motivation is actually what gets me up in the morning. Like and it shifts. So when I was in my 20s, which was a million years ago, um my son, it was one of my overweight periods in life, and my son, who was, I guess Jay was about 3, he ran out into a parking lot.
Mm.
I was too big to go after him. All I could do was scream his name. Like I couldn't run. And so if a car had been coming, my son would have been gone. So for me, that was my motivation. My motivation to get my butt up every morning and go work out was because I wanted to live for my son.
Yes.
Well, my son will be 23 in November. And if he ran out in the street right now, I'd probably like throw a shoe at him or something and tell him to stop being crazy.
Yes.
And so my motivation now is that every woman in my family pretty much has heart disease. I just lost my 36-year-old cousin last week to a heart attack in her sleep. My 49-year-old
Mm.
aunt died in her sleep two years ago from heart disease. And so that's not something someone can give me. I can
Right.
inspire you
Hmm.
to find what your motivation is. But if your motivation are your kids, I
Yes.
can't give you that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That makes total sense.
Mhm.
I think it was last week, a post I said, inspired externally, motivated internally.
That's perfect. It's perfect. And and there's this whole conversation about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. But
Yes.
if the idea is that I just want to be able to wear some booty shorts next week, it's still something that has to happen in here. And
Yes.
so that's nothing anybody can give me. I'm not sure, you know, anybody is texting me saying, "Hey girl, those booty shorts." Like, I mean, but it would still have to be my decision. And I think we have to
Your
take
decision.
ownership of that as opposed to looking for people to motivate us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reality is that when people are looking for someone to motivate themselves, they're almost looking for an excuse to not do it. Right? Let's be
I
real.
I agree. I agree. I'm just not motivated. And so what I tell people is I don't know if you realize that trainers do not wake up at 4:30 in the morning and say, "Yes, I get to do squats. It's cold out. I get to go out in the cold. I get to listen to people whine and complain all day. I get to do invoices." I was like, I'm not motivated. I get up because I have a goal in mind,
Yes.
and motivation sometimes has to catch me at the gym. Like I've been to Starbucks, shower, and everything before I'm
Mhm.
motivated.
Right.
So
Yeah.
waiting on
Right.
motivation. I
Yes.
mean, yeah, you have to let motivation catch up with you sometimes.
It's true, right? And even
Yeah.
as Erica's bringing up accountability, accountability is an interesting piece because I see how that it's a different currency for everybody. And
Hmm.
I'll use an example. Like my wife, she'll do like a Whole 30, or she'll make some decision to stop doing something or some decision to start doing something.
Hmm.
Health, like it'll be totally healthy. But one of the things she does is she'll make a post about it, or she'll tell a friend about it, or she'll start her
Hmm.
walk with a buddy.
Yeah.
She has to recruit someone for accountability
Uh-huh.
to make it real.
Yeah.
She's disciplined enough to do it, but it's almost like it's concrete when someone else knows about it.
I agree. And I think I will say personally that not having accountability, I have paid for that
Okay.
in my life and in my career, because when you're a trainer, especially when I was going through a period where basically my body shut down. And it was like
Yes.
I was ashamed because I was no longer who I used to be. So to ask a trainer or another trainer in my weakness instead of seeking the accountability, I
Yes.
kind of withdrew because of
Mm-hmm.
how I was feeling. And so there was nobody, I was holding other people accountable, but I was slipping for the same reason why sometimes people don't go to personal training, because they're embarrassed. I was literally
Embarrassed.
embarrassed, you
Mm.
know, and so I struggled. I totally struggle with having someone hold me accountable because I didn't want to fail in front of another professional, or for my friends who always looked for me to be the person to, yeah, go get them, girl. I
Yes.
It was like trying to hold up, where's my cup? It was like trying to hold up that superwoman
Yes.
image. Yeah,
Yeah.
I paid for it.
That notion of shame, right? Like it's
Yeah.
that is a really like that's a real part of our internal discussion is shame, as you're saying, right? And it
Yeah.
looks the part in different ways.
It um it does. And I don't think it's like with any type, when you're in a leadership position,
Hmm.
I think people sometimes separate you from who they know on social media and you as the
Yes.
person. And
Yes.
so it's one of the reasons why I'm very, very open, sometimes probably too open, because what started off as an apology for feeling like I needed to apologize for putting on this 20 pounds, which felt like overnight. But if you knew the story,
Yes.
then I felt like people would have more grace for me. But the truth of the matter is, people were judging me anyway. So
Yes. For good or for
I,
bad, right from day one.
yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
I use it. I mean, I use it as an empowerment space to say, you have got to honor what's happening to you. Do not ignore symptoms. Remember that stress can kill you, like
Hmm.
all of these things, because that's really part of my story. And this weight, honestly, I'm working more now at this weight than I ever was 20, 25 pounds ago. So
Yes.
it's good. I'm good.
Yeah. That's great. There's a comment here from John. Discipline and habit and logging, journaling religiously, goal setting and action steps. It all matters.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, John, this is for John because
Okay.
John recommended this to me.
Okay.
Go crazy,
Okay.
and again, it's creating the habit. Um, I don't necessarily recommend strict food journals for people who have, like, I've had eating disorder, so sometimes it can make me a little neurotic.
Yes.
But I do believe, and I tell my clients, take pictures of your food, and at the end of the day, do a screenshot and you
Yes.
tell me what you think. you
Yes.
know, like,
Yeah. I've used that before. That's good. It's a real instant feedback thing for them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. So yeah, but there also has to become, when you said accountability. Like, I have a client who I'm an accountability coach for her, but you can't let me do all the work. Like, if I'm only talking to you 1 hour a week, what are you doing the other
Yes.
160 plus?
Mhm.
And it is discipline that you have to get to the point that you hold yourself accountable. Like, how
Absolutely.
bad do you want it?
Right. Can I share a quick story of how that translates in my kind of athlete brain? Because I
Yeah,
still
for
think that
sure.
in the back of my head, I'm still playing football right now, right?
Okay.
So
It's all good. It's
whatever
all good.
happens, like there's a switch that I use to keep myself kind of on point. So
Yeah.
this is how I do accountability. I don't at any point say, okay, guys, I'm on a diet this week, or I'm going to start training 6 days a week. I'm training for something. In my head, I'm always training for something. So
Mhm.
if I play, like this COVID thing has completely messed up my football season, so I'm not playing flag football this year.
Mhm.
Last year, something else, whatever. But in my head, like, I have a game next Saturday, right? So
Right.
so the way that I look at it is my accountability is at some point I'm going to have to perform, and my performance is going to tell the story as to whether I've been getting enough sleep, as to whether I've been fueling my body properly, as to
Mhm.
whether I've been exercising enough, where my mindset is. So my performance is going to tell the story of what I'm doing. So it's going to be out there for everyone to know whether I've been on point or not. So that's my accountabilities. When I show up,
Mhm.
do I perform the way I'm supposed to? At that point, instead of like the day-to-day accountability, it's that
Mhm.
event to event accountability.
Yeah, that okay. So there are two sides to that because I have never played an organized sport. Like, so I was on a dance team and that's different. But like for
Okay.
me, I always think like for me that wouldn't work because I'm like, what event? Like,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
but but as a parent of two track runners, like so my daughter will be 17 next month. She's a sprinter.
Okay.
So and I don't I say I'm not the competitive type, but I am the parent that will stand on top of the gate and run while my kids are running. And so
So
I'm
you're
that
gonna run a
parent.
13 cheering for your daughter trying
So
to freak.
so it's
Yes.
so funny because there I'm a younger parent. I mean, I had my son when I was 22. I was 28 when I had my daughter. So we're still like the young parents on this side. So when
Mhm.
other parents are sitting up there looking at Instagram, I am literally running up and down the gate. But when she's mad about her time, I do
Yes.
ask, what time were you going to bed last week?
Thank you.
where how was your water?
Right.
When you were eating those chicken nuggets from Wendy's last night, were you
Uh-huh.
thinking about, and so I totally understand what you said. And I think that's why it's a good idea. So I ran a half marathon once in my whole life. I would never do it again.
Okay.
But
Yes.
but I'm with you. I had certain things that I had to build up for because if I ran 1 mile and thought I was going to go run 13 without thinking about preparation, I'm not going to make it.
Mhm.
So you might have just inspired me to find me an event, some type of
I
event.
Honestly, Tasha, that's the thing.
Yeah.
If I'm having consultations with people, I will spend so much time trying to unpack some kind of
Hmm.
goal that they can chase after,
Hmm.
because it is so easy, so much easier to chase after a goal
Hmm.
than to exercise.
I agree. I did a roundtable last night. I moderated a roundtable for some young ladies who had done bikini competitions.
Okay.
And so, but that because I've never been in anything competitive,
Hmm.
that's a part I don't understand. But my husband played football in high school and he is still very much competitive. And my son is more competitive with himself. When my daughter was 4, true story, she got
Hmm.
so upset about losing Candyland that she flipped the whole board at 4. So
Wow.
she's always been so she's always been competitive. And
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I wish I was competitive,
Mm.
because I do think that my clients that are competitive, I
Yes.
mean, they're on it. And so
Right.
now it's me learning to really compete with myself.
With yourself. And I would say
Yeah.
that I would challenge you on that and say, like,
Yeah.
you are competitive, but what is your arena?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think some of it is that you lose sight of that, or I have, because I spent the last 15 years of my life giving to other people, helping them create their spaces, to the point that I was teaching so many classes that it's like I would literally wake up, train clients, eat in my car, teach, come home, say hey to my kids, get in the shower, fall into bed, start all over,
Yes.
because that was before I had injuries. I was early 30s, all of that kind of stuff. But I do realize that as caretakers, and I'm going to say women are probably more likely to do that as caretakers,
Yes.
we've been trained to put everyone else in front of us, and our success is
Mm,
depending on who we help.
yes.
Yeah.
Starting with your children.
Start, yeah, oh yeah. And what you realize is that my kids don't need me like they used to. And but I also missed out a lot on my kids
Mm,
because I work when other people don't.
yes, right, right.
And I missed lots of games. As my daughter came around, I started going to a lot more stuff. And those are years that I can't get back. And so now I am more about creating something that I want to say that my kids can be proud of, but I also think about the years I spent in front of my daughter counting points, getting on the scale. And so
Mhm.
now it's like I'm in a space that I want to create where wellness isn't like a separate aisle in a grocery store. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
it's just who we are, and creating something that my kids can be proud of once I've gone on, and
yes,
running myself in the ground isn't part of the legacy that I want to leave.
right. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're in a good chapter of life right now.
Yeah, it is. I've had to grow up in the past 4 months. I mean, like in a real way.
Mhm.
And to say that I went from being, almost ridiculed and shamed sometimes for being too black, acting too white, being too thick, being too old, to now I'm thrusted into the limelight because I was willing to go on Instagram and say our industry is BS and this stuff has been happening. So what are you gonna do? Like,
Yes.
and um not being afraid, I want to say,
Hmm.
to speak to the issues, because I could probably give you an awesome shoulder workout, but Breonna Taylor was on my mind. I today I'm not interested in your teaser. Love you, but it's not on my mind.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sort of thing, and learning to grow into how much influence we really have, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was going to ask
yeah.
you something along those lines about growing into it.
Mhm.
The voice that we have, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that people are listening to us.
Same. I'm
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised. I'm thankful
Yes.
to friends who were willing to, if I can just say, they were willing to shut the hell up for a second instead of trying to plead their case and pretend like it wasn't happening and
Hmm.
actually listen. And I think what has happened in the past couple months was like this, like you couldn't brush it under a rug, because it was in your face, like more in your face.
Yes.
And one of the things that I said, and I may have told it to Erica yesterday, was that the reason I posted a picture of me and my daughter talking about the verdict as opposed to Breonna Taylor was because we become desensitized. If you see Breonna
Yes.
Taylor's face, you just skip past it because everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But when you have to identify the person that you say is your friend, the person that's your instructor, the person that's your trainer, and her baby girl, it hits someplace different.
Different.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. That's rough for me because I need people. I don't want you to say you don't see my color. I need you to see it because then you understand that me and you aren't in the same fight, and maybe there's some listening that you need to do, um,
Mhm.
to understand we're not having the same experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aren't you grateful for those people that are really your friends that carry a different skin tone, who are saying, I love you and support you right now, but you know that they said it last week before this verdict came down?
Right.
Like they're
And
just there.
yeah, yeah, because and so part of the thing, Martin, is when I say growing into influence, literally, I was getting 100. I feel like requests for podcast interviews. First of all, time is money, and I don't have an hour to just pop off with everybody that wanted to talk to me.
Mhm.
But the other thing I realized that I was a lot of people's only black friend, or the only
Yes.
black Pilates teacher that they knew.
Yes.
And while I took that responsibility seriously, I had to, and I'm sure you faced this too, that you have to differentiate between people who want to talk to you and people who want to talk to a black man to show that they're diverse.
Yes.
There's a difference.
There's a
And
difference.
yeah, and I'm super thankful for the people who were um, backing me up before then. And I want to say this real quick, and I don't know if Erica's still on here. What happened was I had written an article for Balanced Body in May.
Okay.
It just so happens that that article came out 3 or 4 days after the riots started in June.
Mm.
And I received a lot of backlash, like, are you a token? Are they using you?
Ah.
And first of all, it was incorrect. Second, I really didn't give a, because I knew what direction I wanted to go in anyway. And
Yes.
so I feel like in this conversation that some of us play offense
Mm-hmm.
and some of us play defense.
Yes.
And my goal, Martin, was always, we can't change anything at a table where we don't have a seat.
Right.
It's being open to people who are creating seats from now. Some of those seats I turned down because I was like, that's a setup and you're using me, and absolutely not.
Right.
But
Yes.
but I can't change a table where I don't have a seat. I can't kick the damn legs off of it and then wonder why there's no change.
Right.
Some people play offense, some people play defense. I happen to be playing offense with a little bit of defense.
Yes.
So that was a long answer, but there you go.
We're all about the long answers here.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I know it's funny you say that because I was on a podcast a long time ago, and the guy asked me like one of those like "How are you?" questions, and I answered really quick, and then I realized like after his next question, like, oh, you actually want to hear my answer?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
actually want to hear your answer.
Yeah. And it's hard when people don't want to hear your answer.
Yes.
So riots broke out on like a Saturday. I am the only black instructor where I teach at the studio. I had to go to work that Sunday and that
Mm-hmm.
Monday. I think that Sunday there wasn't even a black student that day. And so I started having the conversation, like even when I worked at a bar studio, that I said, do you know what it's like to come to work every day and never see anybody that looks like you? And
Yes.
then in this instance, to go to work and have this burden on my shoulders, and
Yes.
nobody else in the place that I was serving understood my position, and I felt some kind of way. But I kept showing up because I knew if one black student showed up, I wouldn't want them to feel like I felt alone. And I mean, there are many a days I have wanted to call in black, like just like, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling it today. This stupid verdict.
Yes.
I just want some tequila and some ice cream. I have felt
Mm-hmm.
like that. But I think more importantly, we have to keep showing up. If for no
Yes.
other reason, that I need to have your back.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have your
Absolutely.
back. So yeah. Yeah.
That takes courage.
A lot. It I don't think people understand how much courage it takes. But you build these muscles. If you think of Fannie Lou Hamer, and I tell people my great grandmother marched in the Selma to Montgomery March in her 60s. That
Wow.
that means something to me, deeply embedded somewhere. And when I think of, again, like a Fannie Lou Hamer, you're gonna lose your freaking job and put your life in danger all because you want to register to vote. So it would be easy for me to call in and be like, I'm not coming to work today. I'm not getting ready to be bothered with this foolishness. But
Yes.
I'm showing up because that's what we do.
Yes.
That's what we do. And I think we all, color, shape, sizes, sex, gender, we all have to keep showing up, because when we're willing to show up in the same spaces consistently, even when it's hard, that's when the breakthroughs come.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to explain that to my 14-year-old when he's like, I don't want to be a leader. Like,
Tell
there's
him I
days
didn't.
I like, yeah.
I didn't want to be either. I would
I
have
didn't want to be there
never.
for more. Yeah.
I know that this is my God given path because I would never choose in my real life to be on a mic in front of people ever. I would have never. When I travel and go to conferences, I sit in the back. When I'm
Hmm.
at church, I sit in the back, and that is some childhood stuff, you know. But when I think about all of the places where I was a leader, but I never thought I was a leader, I never thought, my sister was the loud athletic one. Like you heard
Yes.
her 6 miles away.
Hmm.
And so you become those people that don't think they're leaders are the ones that become the most awesome leader. And he may not want it, but it's coming on him. Tell that young king it's getting ready to be his time.
Yep.
And
Yes.
Michelle, yes, we are both presenting soon. We're both
Yeah, it's
presenting
so
soon.
funny. Like I'm so in the moment. I did not think, okay, push brink right now. Like,
Yeah,
just
and somebody also asked me about ShiftCon.
shift on.
I saw that go
Yeah.
past, but I'm with you. I was so into this conversation that I was kind of like,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna give a 2 second, 20-second think about ShiftCon. So ShiftCon is a eco wellness influencer kind of conference that I attended last year, which is really awesome. And I am admitting that I still use Clorox in my bathroom, but what I am my presentation is going to be in conjunction with Nzinga, who is Yes Baby, I Like It Raw.
Okay.
Um, Plant-based and privilege should not be synonymous.
Okay.
Um, as a person who grew up on food stamps and stuff like that, we have to talk about food deserts. And I think we have taken so much so that I don't even describe myself as vegan anymore because I think the word vegan makes people feel some type of way. And it's almost like it's become some secret society, like a country club. And, $10 fake ground meat doesn't make you it's like we've made it inaccessible. It's like you
Right.
can't sit with the cool kids.
Right. Because you can't afford it.
Right. And so that's one of the things that I want to talk to. Number one, not just finding ways to do it without having money, but the way we present it.
Hmm.
You know, we present it like it's an initiation. Like you have to be hazed to be vegan.
Yes.
So that's what ShiftCon is about. But it's very cool. It's very,
That's very
very
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like it's gonna be a good thought-provoking dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me what you're doing at Brink, because I'm not sure that I know in detail.
Blueprint for your business.
Okay.
And the way I'm looking at it is there are technical things we need to know about business, and there are tactical things about our business. Go find yourself an MBA and a business coach if you want to get into the technical of how to run your numbers and how to market and stuff like that. I want to look at the tactical. What are your passions? Who are your mentors? That sort of thing. So when we talk, everything we talked about today, there's that accountability. Are you a leader? Are you are you chasing after some goals? So I want to just dig deep with the stuff that is really the architecture of our business from the inside out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hold on 1 second because my daughter just called from the school, and I don't know if that means she needs a ride, and my husband's downstairs. So this is what I'm doing. I'm listening to you, um, but I'm
And checking at the same time.
but isn't that parenthood? Like,
That
I
is.
mean, it just happens. Um,
I
but
was going to drop that line earlier, actually, too. Is like, as a mom, there's this dichotomy because you can't be a good business owner and be a good mom at the same time. You're either a good mom at the expense of your business or a good business runner at the expense of your kids.
yeah, when people say they find balance, I never found balance. And
Hmm.
so there's more gravitation towards balance because my
Yes.
kids are older. But in 2005, when I started teaching, my baby was one.
Yes.
My son was 7. And I worked, my first fitness job was I sold memberships at a gym.
Hmm.
And so I worked split shifts. So I worked
Right.
all Tuesday, all Thursday, all Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I was there. But my son was also ADHD and on the Asperger spectrum, which he really wasn't, I don't think. But it got me services. It was all good for the ADHD. And so I had to go to school all the time. I had to go to IEPs all the time. And it
Yes.
was just like, I, Tasha, didn't have an existence. It was like if I wasn't at work, I was in a meeting. I was at school. I was doing something with him, still
Right.
with this baby. We That's a whole long thing. But I moved here because I had a car accident. I couldn't walk for 2 days when a kindergartner and a 6 month old, my husband's an engineer, they fired him because he had to stay at home with me. So I lost my
Mm,
house, had to file bankruptcy. So we're moving here, and here I am with a master's degree, making minimum wage, selling gym memberships. And so growing into that, my kids had just had to be uprooted. You know,
yes.
we hadn't even been married. We had been married like 2 years.
That's the test. Yeah.
Yeah. So, to think of all of that, I think the desire to be something probably drove me a little harder than I should have. And my kids were did
They
pay the
felt
price
it.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will say that any day. They paid
Mm,
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I talk a lot about redeeming moments.
Mm.
And I've gone through, some challenges, going through a divorce, and one day I woke up prior to my 38th birthday, and I decided that I will not turn 40 and say that my 30s sucked.
Yeah. And you know what happens? Um, and I'm gonna give like it's been 5 years. I still get very emotional, so forgive me if I talk slow. But when I turned 40, it was the summer of my life. Like I was on a bachata team. I danced at the Las Vegas Salsa Congress. I was at IDEA. I was at SEW. I was at Fit Blogging in Denver, and I was in Memphis dancing and everything. This is July. I'm
Mm,
great. In November, I get invited to General Mills for the first immersion, whatever. So I'm there with these high powered celebrity. I'm rolling, right? I get another
yes.
Les Mill certification. I'm rolling on a Sunday. I missed a family event on Sunday. My son's 18th birthday is that Thursday. So now I'm like one kid down. I was a single parent. I'm like, yeah, I got it. My son was shot on his birthday in the chest and he's alive, everybody, but
Yeah.
in a very controversial case. And for that reason, my 40s have been so hard because while I feel like I've come into my voice, my body just every system in my body shut down because of stress.
Right.
And
Yes.
I still don't talk, because we're still in litigation about some of this stuff.
Yes.
And so when you said about not coming to your 40s, that now I told Michelle the other day, I'm halfway to 50. And I don't want to go into my 50s like I got 5 years to get my stuff together,
Hmm.
and it is now a reclaiming, like you
Yes.
said, it's that reclaiming me and deciding to not be defined, no matter how difficult it was, to not be defined by what I perceived as mistakes, slip
Yes.
ups,
Right.
um, misfortune. So
Miscues.
yeah, it's just like you said. I have to make a decision.
I'm 45 now.
So
And
you feel me?
at 38, when I said that, the first thing I did was resolve to not pay attention to the opinions of others anymore, to deliver myself from the opinions of others, and then to make bold, unapologetic decisions for myself, regardless of what my ex-wife thought, the people who liked me thought, the people that hated me thought, the people that see me in social media and thought that I was amazing thought, the people who thought I was showing off thought, like whatever it was. The simplest thing, deliver myself from all of those things and just move forward unapologetically being myself
Yes.
day by day. That
Yes.
was my decision at 38.
Yeah, because age gives you that. Like, I think my grandma's 85. I mean, although she's been doing this my whole life, she literally says whatever the hell she wants.
Right.
And and like you, instead of saying I'm sorry, but, and I'm like, this is my position, and I'm not asking for your permission.
Right. And I refuse to be 80 to do that. It actually,
Hashtag I said what I said.
it bought, no, honestly, like you said it now, and the
Yeah.
same thing just rose up in me because I'm like, I hate it when people say, oh, this person's 75 and they do what they think and they feel what they say. I'm like, I'm 45. I'm going to do what I feel and say what I think because of who I am,
Yeah.
not because my age gives me a ticket to have an opinion.
Right. Like I said, she's been like that my whole life.
Right.
But
So we need to
but
be like that our whole lives.
yeah, yeah. And
Like,
but when we apologize, we give people permission to to believe that it's up for discussion. There are just certain things that I believe that are not up for discussion.
right.
Um, Even last night on my Facebook page, I saw someone saying someone, didn't Breonna Taylor have this? I said, let me tell y'all something. I said, I said, all the saints, all the perfect people,
Mm-hmm.
um, who feel like she should have been murdered because she did something. I said, let me tell you right now, if I'm murdered and you're looking for something to justify why somebody killed me, when I was in elementary school, I took some paper from the teacher without permission. I was like, now you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And it was before I would have never said that, but that's how I felt because I'm tired of people feeling like we can demonize and make up everything to make ourselves sound right. You know,
Yep.
instead of trying to be an influencer to get all the followers, be an influencer and influence people to be better humans.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a tangent,
That's a good tangent.
but it is about saying that, like, when I was listening to you yesterday, I got to listen to some of your live while I was going to class, and it is like, I applaud you for saying, right now, maybe I don't want to talk about Pilates. And you went into what you were feeling. You were angry. You were even living in Canada. And I so respect that, because when we have platforms, I do feel like there's always a space when people feel like they are sacrificing their money, their
Mm-hmm.
influence, over saying what they really feel. And
Yes.
I've been in that space, and I just feel like there is no amount of money in the world that could make me pretend like this isn't happening. None.
Right.
None. All the Lululemon in the world, you know. And I'm starting to back companies. I'm like you. When companies want to work with me, I'm looking at your feed. When
Mm-hmm.
people are want to follow me, I'm looking at your feed. If I can't say it, see it, I might not follow you back because I'm not here for it. Either
Right.
you're with me or you're not. Like, you, there is
Yes.
no riding the fence these days.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, for sure.
It's a pretty good first date.
Yeah, I think so. We should have brought our Starbucks.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like I need another one right now.
Yes.
Yeah, but
So good. So we're
yeah,
on the stage at Brink, virtual
yeah,
stage at Brink next week. You
yep.
have the other conference coming up. When is that other one you just mentioned?
So Brink is next week.
Next week.
ShiftCon is the ninth. Like, I'm speaking on the ninth,
Hmm.
and then I'm an ambassador for the Integrative Movement series with
Yes.
Balance Body the next day, which is October 10th.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm all conference. I gotta because now I just sit on the floor, but I got a like a standing desk so I can look like I'm powerful when I'm talking. But and I appreciate Jenna for bringing me into the conversation. I appreciate Erica for bringing me into the conversation, and Ari Adams is the head of ShiftCon, and I met her last year. She just took it over. She may have been the first Black woman to run such. Um, and I just thank people for while I feel like I'm a great movement teacher, but I feel
Yes.
like right now my voice
Hmm.
is the most powerful. And so
Yes.
I'm okay not teaching Pilates or yoga. I'm teaching in the morning, y'all, on at 9 a.m. But I'm okay not teaching movement because this is
Yes.
movement.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I hear you.
So
Any
it
closing
should be good.
thoughts for us?
I'm thankful that you invited me into this space. I think honest conversation. Um, I think people seeing us as real people is so important because I don't want to be a museum type figure that you can look at but don't touch.
Yes.
I want to be of service to people, but I also want people to know that if you cut me, I bleed, that
Hmm.
sort of thing. And to know what it's like to be, um, you got to play both sides. Like someone asked me, how was I doing this morning? I'm like, I'm pissed, but I'm also used to that. We ain't new to this.
Yes.
I have to go to work after everything,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I'm thankful for you. I love what you're doing, and I so appreciate you, and I really really mean that because your voice, we need your voice, and I'm glad you did not call in black yesterday, and that you decided to show up. Your presence is everything, and we need that. And so I'm grateful for you, and I really mean that.